Namaste everybody, welcome to the channel. Wishing you all a very happy Mahashivratri on this day of 26th of February, and I hope Mahakal bless you all. So, Today we are going to talk about ragging and the ragging which Manit, that is an IT Bhopal, is infamous for. No more now. It has been curved to a very large extent thanks to the present administration, management and the leadership, but it still exists there. And how a small case of ragging, an individual case of ragging, can actually morph into a protest, a sort of a movement by the students. We will be discussing about this with the sociological lenses because it is a social issue at the end of the day, because of the ragging that actually took place on the eve of, I guess, 16th of February. It was the 3 day long event. It was the entrepreneur summit, that is e-summit, getting organized in Manit for 3 days. And on the last day, in the end, after the some music event ended, the students were returning to their hostels. Man, it encompasses 12 big hostels that I'm truly a fan of. I wish back in my college days I had such hostels which are so spacious and equipped with all the facilities. The food is also good. The main thing is that they are into the, like, they are in the class of mother nature, in the lap of mother nature, surrounded by the beauty, natural beauty all around, the birds, the trees. It's just amazing. It's just that they are at some distance from the classes, but again, thanks to the administration for running 4 electric buses which go there from hostel to the campus, to the classes, to take the students, to pick and drop them. That is something amazing. That is an entirely different matter, not to deviate from the main topic what it is like. So students, they have a very nice hostel life here, they won't disagree with me. So what happened, that they were returning to the hostel, and it just so happened that a second year student, here seniority means a lot. It matters a lot, like who is senior, who is junior. If you are junior, how would you be talking to your senior? The way you interact with them, it's basically about the interaction is totally different. Just because, just by the way you greet your senior, one can tell you that you are his junior. So there goes the code, like whenever you see your senior, you will greet him, and you will say excuse me sir and that all, and things like that go on. But what happened that day, and yeah, seniors will ask you about the fundas. So fundas comprises of an integral part of the ragging culture present in Manit. Let me delve deeper into this. What is funda? So I got to see a PDF which had the fundas in it. Fundas are basically the questions which the seniors would ask you when they are going to rag you, and you are supposed to answer them in the given format. There are pre-decided answers to those questions, and the questions are bad, filthy, abominable, and so are the answers. And you're supposed to answer in the same way. The answers are full of the swear words, the slang words, abusive words. Sometimes they are highly, grossly misogynistic as well. But it is the culture, it has passed down, from generations to generations, and now it is like being carried forward. But as I told you, like, the ragging has been curbed to a very large extent. So yeah, this is like pretty much the present status. So what happened that what happens that when you are in the first year, you aren't given much freedom. You are restricted and confined in the four walls of your room, of the hostel. You aren't allowed to participate in the cultural events taking place here much. You don't have as much the liberty as the second year and the third year students have, as I have observed till now. And that is for a reason, because they want you to focus on your studies, and also partially because of the ragging, because they feel that the administration think that these guys studying in the first year are susceptible or like vulnerable to the ragging of the students from the senior classes, second year, third year, and the fourth year. So what happened that day? Now finally coming to that, a second year student, he came there in the competition, sorry, in the event near to the first year students and started asking them the fundas. But reportedly, that second year student was accompanied by his friend from another college. Of course, like he was also a senior, and he was from some other college, RGPB or LNCT or whatever it is. And he asked the fundas to whom? To a junior of manit. So the junior of manit was like, I would give fundas to you, the senior of manit, but not to the senior of some other institute. And the people in the manit are the brilliant minds. There is not an iota of doubt regarding that. They have cleared the examination like JE, scored brilliant marks, and thus have made their place to here. So they they have a sense of superiority, right? Even if this is not a sense of superiority, even if we don't consider that manit is at the top of the hierarchy of the institutes, even if we don't consider that, then also it is not good, to get ragged by the student coming from an a different institute entirely, because then it comes to the self-esteem, respect, dignity, so the first year guy, he protested. And then the second year guy, he supported that particular boy from some another institute just because of their friendship. And this is like what I heard from the first year students, after interacting with them. Of course, I won't reveal the names. And some of the posts were circulating on the social media platforms, which were putting forward the opinion and the viewpoint of the first year students. So this is a narrative that I have taken from there. So what happens is that then ensued a fight between the first year and the second year, that group at a very small level, not at a big level. And the first year students, they disobeyed and reportedly misbehaved with the second year students, which was against their dignity. So the second year students, what they did, took one single first year students with them in the hostel and started dragging him, asking him the fundas and all, showing the solidarity. All the first year students came there and with that guy, and they came at the hostel and protested, and they asked for that first year students who has been taken inside by the second year students, and who are ragging that guy. So now this solidarity that was shown by second year students for the first year students was perceived as a transgression of this rule of seniority, of the norms, that have been existing there in manner for a very long time. So norms that you will follow the seniors. So it was a transgression or violation of that norm, because juniors were seemed to be rebellious, so they crossed the boundaries. So what happened that the juniors in say 50 or 100 numbers came at a hostel. It was, I guess, hostel number 8, or I don't remember the name exactly. Let us not get into that, it is immaterial. So what happened that in protest, the first year students comes at the hostel, and then what happens is that all of the second year students, also supported by some third year students of that particular hostel in which was trapped the first year guy, they all came down and they came at the first year students, and they reportedly beat the shit out of them. They beat them with whatever they had in their hands, and the first year students ran like hell in order to save them, and behind them were running the second year students. So this was something the hilarious picture. And then what happened that there ensued the fight, the physical fight between these two groups, to manage which, to control which came the wardens, of course, but he couldn't. Then came the dean, even he couldn't. Then came the director, and finally the director, perceiving that the students are not actually listening to him, he had to call the police from Vaishali Nagar, situated just near to the Manit. And the police came from Vaishali Nagar, headed by the lady SI sub inspector. And when she came there in the hostel, she was reportedly ordered that you can use the force if you deem fit. So it is quite perceivable that the students were showing the mass mob behavior, you know, and they weren't listening to nobody, no authorities. There were present the people at the higher, or rather I would say the highest position, the director himself, but you aren't listening to him. So in order to control the situation, he had to call the police, which I would say was not wrong. Okay, because wardens and the other authorities, like say bouncers, the guards, are in a very limited number. If the students come, as a group and show the violent behavior, then these few people cannot handle the students. Here you have got the students, and here you have got a selected number of people, and the students, if they have decided that they are in large number, they would do whatever they wish. Then these people aren't enough, and these students pose a threat to the security of the juniors. So in order to control the situation and save the juniors from the assault of the seniors, the authorities had to call the police, which was an action, I guess, I believe, was justified, right? So now what happens is that when the police came, it came in large numbers. Okay, now before I move ahead, let me clarify this thing to you. Then some of the social media pages on Instagram and all were painting a very bad picture of the Manit administration, saying that they call the police. This has happened never ever before in the history of Manit, and why to call the police, why police is coming and beating the students. It's not an anti-national institute. It's not that the students are terrorists. You have beaten them very badly and things like that, and garnering the sympathies for the students. But let me tell you this thing: if you are in at that position of power, if you have to take a decision, then you would have also done the same, because you all are like the people at the authorities. They are like the professors. They don't know how to use the physical power. So if the situation cannot be controlled by the mere verbal requests, orders, and things like that, then you'll have to use the force. And in order to curb the nuisance, in order to establish the law and order, you'll have to call the police. So calling police was normal. Police came there, and what police did, which was bitterly uh, protested by the students, regretted by the students, was that the police beat the students indiscriminately, without distinguishing between the students who were involved in the fight and the students who were there sitting inside the the hostel rooms, studying in groups, or loitering here and there, talking to their parents, or went outside to get the water out of the from the water cooler, and whatsoever be the reason. And this all was at midnight, say 1 to 2 p.m., and people were sleeping even. So the police came inside the campus and stormed into the classrooms and started beating the students with the lathis. And the lady police officer can be seen being very aggressive and perceptively using the harsh language for the students. And students actually got some students got actually very irked, annoyed, and offended because of this thing, because of the words used by the police. But what I personally feel is that, this is my perspective, the profession that they are in, you cannot accept them to use the same language that you use in your homes, because they are to deal with the criminals. They are to deal with the miscreants, perpetrators, the people who are showing the deviant tendencies. So if they have used a couple of words which are very harsh, then you should not be so very offended and ask for the accountability, responsibility, answerability, and the formal apologies from them for each and every word that they have used. Because as far as I know, like they didn't use very vulgar words. If you look at the fundas, no, that the seniors ask to the juniors, it will just it will boil your blood. It's so disgusting. It's really very disgusting. I hope you never read it. So filthy is the language. I haven't seen the language so filthy like that ever before. Like, this is the mindset of the senior students. This is what they ask to the juniors, and they don't feel shame. Like, there is nothing morally and ethically wrong now in this case when you are bullying, dominating your juniors. But when a police officer, and let me tell you, like, let me bring one more important point over here, is that police is the institution in uniform, and whenever there is a person in uniform, we should respect that person. We should not like expect the same etiquettes, behaviors, manners as we do from some other random people, say a businessman, say a government employee, or another person, another civilian. Like, we respect the people in the uniform because they protect us, they protect our country, they maintain the law and order. Their job is so tough, they are in the uniform for literally 24/7, and they don't celebrate the festivals like today is Shivratri. And thus we should have some respect for them. We should respect them, and we should forgive them. We should not mind if they like say anything bad to us. Say if you are like going from like if you are going on the road, and it just so happened that a police cop stops you, say, and asks for a challan, and use some harsh words, harsh language, you shouldn't mind it much. Like, it's pragmatically good as well, because like let me tell you how pragmatically, how is it justified pragmatically not to respond, not to get agitated, not to protest and start a movement for your rights? How is it pragmatically good? It is pragmatically good because who is at the loss? You are at the loss. You are losing on your classes. If you are suspending the classes, professors are sitting like in their cabin freely, that they don't mind it. Now what would happen? The session would be taken forward, would be postponed, the exams will be postponed. Now, who is at the loss? If you are losing on your classes, you are at the loss. you know this is the cost that you will have to pay, academic loss that you are having by suspending the classes, by announcing the GT, that is group study, mass bunk. So that is the pragmatic perspective. And moral and ethical perspective is that, as I told you, police is somebody who we should have utmost respect for, you know and just because these students who are studying here in Manit comes from the privileged, most of them would come from the privileged backgrounds, and having a seat in an institute like Manit, which is an institute of national importance, is again a matter of great privilege, right? So, if you are studying in this institute, then you should be aware of the ground realities. People suffer much more than that at the hands of these government institutions, especially the criminal justice system. After committing no crime, people spend years and years in jail. It happens. I'm not like saying that just because they suffer, just because crores of people aren't getting justice, so should you be silent, so should you not get the justice. But the but the demands aren't that robust. I agree that there are marks, like the marks, the injuries, the wounds on the body of the people, the X-ray reports showing the cracked bones. They are horrific. They are horrific, and this is condemnable. This should not have happened. And I completely agree that I could be there in the place of the students, like sitting innocently and studying, and the police comes and beat the shit out of you. Anybody could be there. But here comes a theory, here comes a fox saying कि गेहूं के साथ घुन भी पिसता है. You know, it basically means is that let me not translate it into English and put in another analogy that there is a thing called collateral damage. You know, because police is supposed to establish the law and order, so they'll have to take the action, and it's quite obvious that some people even who aren't involved in the fight would get injured, but it just doesn't mean that you start a full movement for that, uh, suspending the classes, asking for the resignation of a person like director of a national institute. Like, have you gone crazy? Like, if you are putting your demands, then put the logical, practical demands which are actually achievable. You know, if you put the targets so high, so big, and if they don't get accomplished, nobody gave a damn on that, then it's your failure only. You will lose the self-respect. You know, this would show that how like poor are you on the judgment. You know, so put the demands like, give the apology. You know, do some justice with the students who faced the wrath of the police for no reason. You know, who got the injuries, help them with their treatment or give some concession to them. You know, give some support for them, monetary support for them. These are the demands that you can ask for. But if you are actually going there in the house, in the place where the director lives, you know, clad in the black clothes, asking for his resignation, then that's stupid. That's not very practical, because in the first place, the marks, the injuries, I completely empathize with you, but nobody has died. You know, these are the injuries which would recover in the coming times. Something, if there's something really gross, then yeah, you can protest. This is what it is. This is what it is. Like, this is like how you should go about it. Not like having unrealistic demands. You know, so it's been a week, I guess. Still the students aren't going to the classes, and this is something not really good. Have some respect for the police. You know, like, there are some members in your family, like your father and mother. You don't expect them to behave in a very civilized, sophisticated and morally justified manner, just because they are the fatherly figures, they are the patrons. You know, they have given you the patronage, you are living under them, so you would listen to their swear words. Even it's quite common for the parents to use harsh language on their children, at least in India, because we have respect for them for what they are doing, right? We cannot pay for that. In the same way, we cannot pay back to the people in uniform who are serving for the nation. You know, be them the soldiers at the border. Like, great respect for them. And also the people in the within the, you know, country margins. I mean, the police officers and all, we should have respect for them. We should, like, forgive them. It shows our maturity, like how mature we are. It shows our big heartedness, you know. So this is like what I have to say. I have been seeing this for a very long time. Thankfully, the first year students came to the classes yesterday. Otherwise, before that also, I had the classes, and I kept on waiting for the students. They didn't come, and it sometimes doesn't feel good, because first year students, they are terrified. They aren't stepping out of their hostels thinking that the, you know, seniors might find them, might, you know, beat them, and seniors are removing from them from the groups on the social media and all, and saying that you will basically threatening the juniors. So this is what it is going inside the campus. And to the social media channels, I would say, like, there are some famous popular channels in Bhopal on social media platforms like Instagram who published the reports maligning, uh, tarnishing the image of the institute, the administration, so they should be aware of the ground reality. uh-huh. And manit hosts around 12 hostels. There are around 4,000 students living inside these hostels, and if the students come together in hundreds of numbers, then obviously you'll have to call the police to control the situation, no? And there are cases when the students aren't listening to the director and even misbehaving with them, and aren't maintaining the decorum when the director is present there. So if so violent, so mad the mob goes, then the director will have to take the help of the external force. Will have to call the police. It's quite common. Apart from that, something great that happened just because of this thing, it served some function. This all what happened was not actually good, and was actually distasteful. But something good that happened was that the funda system was abolished. Just after that incident took place, a couple of days later, the administration issued a notice that we abolished the funda system. So fundas, as I told you, is a PDF containing 5 pages, wherein the questions and answers are given, and the questions are just abominable. Abominable. They are very very bad. Is a ugly. Bad is a small word for them. Like, in the ugliest language, most indecent language possible, and misogynistic as well. Misogynistic as well. So it is something good that the funda system stands abolished. At the same time, I would also say that if there is some, like, another perspective, a critical perspective, if there is some boundary between the junior and the senior, then it is good for the juniors as well, because it is how they learn to respect the elders, respect the seniors, and because they are going to help them as well, because like they are the ones who have been through what the juniors are going through. So it's another something great.